For us, it's a daily thing.
It's every day, right?
This is Mammoth Daily
We're going to take you inside the locker room
with Mike Fulta.
We want this show to be about the fans, and we want this show to be driven by our Utah Mammoth community.
And Adrian Denny.
Fans can submit what they want to hear us talk about, what they want to hear Utah weigh in on. It's all going to be here.
Here's Mike and AD with you.
Utahns, countrymen, lend me your ears.
Right here on Mammoth Daily.
Hey everybody, welcome on in. Adrian Denny with you, and welcome to your Tuesday Mailbag edition of Mammoth Daily. Wherever you get your podcasts, on Apple, Spotify, Utah Mammoth YouTube page, Mammoth Plus and SCG Plus, we're there for you, and we thank you for coming along for the ride. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. Like us, leave us a 5-star review, share us, the more the merrier, as always, here on Mammoth Daily, as we are talking about a contest on Monday night in Chicago that saw the Mammoth jump up to a couple of leads. Barrett Hayton made it 1-0 as Nick DeSimone fired one to the net. Hayton tipped home his 9th after he got kicked out of the faceoff circle. McBain stepped in. Hayton went to the near wall and was able to kind of force that puck to rim around to Cole, who got it to DeSimone, and Barrett Hayton gave the Mammoth a 1-0 lead. How about Cole and DeSimone playing together as kind of fill-ins for Mikhail Sergachev as Sean Jersey went up to play with Mackenzie Weegar? But as you watch it right there, McBain winning the draw after Hayton got kicked out, and the Mammoth found a way to jump up by a count of 1-0. Dylan Guenther made it 2-1 after Chicago got the equalizer. Chicago tied it again, and then we went on to overtime as the Mammoth take a bittersweet point in Chicago. You wanted a win because you hadn't beaten them yet, and you had that really bitter game against the Hawks 9 nights ago against them at the Delta Center, when you lost 4-0, maybe the worst game ever. Hadn't beaten them this year. You'd started the trip 3-0. And you're feeling good. But the Mammoth now 3-0-1 after that point. They've taken 7 of 8 points so far on the trip. And regardless of what happens tonight in Minnesota, they've got the best road trip ever in team history with 7 points. So 7 of 10 is the minimum. The lead on the playoff line is now 7 on the rest of the field, and it's 6 above the Seattle Kraken. So Utah looking good, digging in, solidifying themselves in that Western Conference wildcard race. So they've struggled against Chicago. Head coach Andre Tourigny saying after the game that they're one of few teams that can skate with us. Dylan Guenther saying they got kind of tall, long D. They're hard to play through. It's a game that's given Utah some matchup problems in the 3 contests they've played. The Chicago Blackhawks. We'll get more into it coming up, but the Mammoth found a way to push through it, to resist when Minnesota looked like they were on the verge of taking a lead in the second. After tying it up, they got 2 huge scoring chances in 8 seconds, including one from Connor Bedard. And then the Mammoth were able to come back and kind of take things over. And every time they came back, kind of took the game over. It seemed like JJ Peterka, Barrett Hayton, and Kyler Yamamoto were involved and able to shift the momentum back. In the third period, Mammoth were being outshot 25-16, and they went over 11 minutes without a shot on goal before they finished with 8 of the next 9 shots to close out regulation. So they kind of took over again there, had some good chances, just dominated overtime. Dominated overtime so much that you knew if they gave the puck up, they were pinched in so deep, it was going to come back the other way to breakaway. Nazar had it roll off his stick, and then Nick Schmaltz took penalty. Hawks won up. But the Mammoth pushed their way to a point, so they extend the lead. But you wanted to beat Chicago for the first time. You're going to get another chance at them coming up on Thursday. Before we get to Mike's Morning After, as Matt McConnell will stop by on his birthday, let's hear what head coach Andre Tourigny said after the contest.
That's huge. I think that's the point here. I think we didn't play our A game, but we found a way to get a point on the road. Now we have a big game tomorrow, and we need to get more points. But I think we cannot discredit the guys to find a way at the end to dig deep and close the game and get that big point. Obviously, we'll have loved to have a second point, but the team the other side, they play us hard and since the beginning of the season, and tonight it's not like we didn't try.
Yeah, sometimes it's just how it goes with the matchup. After Mike's morning after, we'll tell you who else the Hawks have played really good this year, and it is an impressive list. Sometimes there's just matchup challenges. Sometimes it comes against teams that aren't in the playoff picture. They play a game that's just kind of hard to play against. It's not as predictable as, say, when you're playing a Colorado Avalanche team, a Minnesota Wild team, a Dallas Stars team, and it kind of gets you off of your game. And I think a lot of that might have been the case against the Chicago Blackhawks, against them in the first 3 games, but more on that coming up. Let's get to Mike and his morning after. Before Mike breaks down the game, was wondering if he knew anything about parking a box truck into a loading dock at United Center in Chicago. Mike?
Welcome into Mike's morning after following the 3-2 overtime loss to the Chicago Blackhawks at the United Center, which is up here. And I am in front of this nice gray slab and the loading dock area. You know, crazy story, actually. There's you can kind of see it back behind the bus there, these like loading areas where you have to back a trailer up and that's how you load the dock. It's a loading dock. And when I once upon a time was an employee of the Rockford Ice Hogs, the AHL farm team for the Blackhawks, I had to somebody walked by. I had to back up this big box truck. It's actually right there. I had to back up that truck into the loading dock, and you have to get it just right so that it latches on. And I was pretty proud of myself for doing so. It's one of the other duties as a side that you get handed as a broadcaster in minor league hockey. But enough talk of that. Let's get to the game. 3-2 overtime loss for Utah. Didn't play a great game. I thought Mammoth gave up a few too many chances to shoot the puck, and they totally spoiled Matt McConnell's birthday celebrations. You do not lose on Matt McConnell's birthday, but you got a point though. How was the cookie, by the way, Matty?
Cookie was great. Thank you. Sorry I hit you with that slap shot in the face on little sticks or mini sticks last night. You know what? I think we've gotten to the point where the point feels not great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just had a feeling, okay, they go to overtime and it's going to be Guenther or it's going to be Cooley or Keller or somebody that's going to be able to put it away. But it just wasn't to be. And in a way, maybe that's good, right? Because you want more and you expect more now. Something about Chicago, but you know what? The end of the third period was great. They had sustained pressure. Yeah. They had that one stretch. Remember, Mike? They went a minute 44 where they had Chicago pinned.
Yeah.
But they need more of that. They need, they can't. There's a little bit of a trend going on right now with shots, right? Where they were generating a lot of shots before, but now they've had a bunch of games where they've been at the 24 shot mark or under. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Against the goalie, you probably want to show a lot of rubber too.
Yeah. Like I thought Vitek was good. I mean, some of the saves were 10 bells, but they just got to figure out a way to generate more against these guys. There was a little bit of a deterioration as the game went on, and I guess it's maybe a good one. The start was great. They got the 2-1 goal, but they just got to figure out a way to generate more against Chicago. Maybe more in the middle because the Blackhawks have had their number.
Blackhawks played with a lot of speed, I thought, tonight. More speed than Utah did, kind of like what we saw back at the Delta Center 8 days ago. And give credit to the Hawks. They're not the betting favorite in this game, but they played with that great pace, and I thought more than deserved to win. I would have liked to have tested Comesso more. I would have liked to have
Yeah,
shot
guy
the
you
puck
know
instead of
well.
tried to
You-
pass
you
the
know
puck.
it.
Yeah, BU Terrier, former Rockford Ice Hog, really good young goalie. They're really high on him.
Yeah.
But also, I think, the line that got things going was the Hayton line,
Mhm.
right? In the third, that kind of turned the tide a little bit. And I think Mammoth needed more of that straight line, not necessarily pass around the offensive zone.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what we had for a lot of the game.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll learn. They got him. We got down the bird to go to Minnesota here, but they've got him. They got him on Thursday at Delta Center, and it got a little bit rough at times, a little chippy. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but they got to figure out a way to get 2 points Thursday night. And it'd be great if they could get 2 points tomorrow night in Minnesota, because that would be a near perfect road trip.
Yeah,
they've already established themselves as having the most points for a road trip.
Incredible.
In a year and a half, or a little more than a year and a half. Yeah. So, who knows? Maybe that point will be huge in a few weeks.
Who taught you to shoot the puck? Zdeno Chara?
No.
Victor Hedman?
Seriously, my skating was average at best. I wasn't fast, but I had really good hands.
Matty Mitz?
And Matty Mitz. And I'm really sorry. I'm more bummed though that I missed the shot. Missed the goal. Thought I had the corner pick, but I'm kidding.
Mammoth settled for the point tonight, and I got to settle for this guy as a seatmate on the plane.
Oh, no. Thank God it's only a 1 hour flight.
Thanks, guys. And as I said, I was going to tell you about some matchups that Chicago has also had their way with this year, just to give you some context. How about this? 2-0-1 against Dallas, 1-0-1 against Tampa Bay, 0-2 against Minnesota, 1-0-1 against Vegas, 3-0 against the Mammoth. And Utah will see Chicago again on Thursday at the Delta Center, 7:00 face-off. But we got a big one tonight in Minnesota to still cover, which we will get to. More on that coming up in our third period. Dylan Guenther, again, continuing to be a story for the Mammoth, and playing with Nick Schmaltz and Clayton Keller as Nick Schmaltz forces a turnover, which again creates offense for the Mammoth, which leads to Guenther's 30th, his 13th goal of the year that comes on a one-timer. He leads the NHL in shots on one-timers at 74 on the season. He's got that shot that we love, and he's pushing towards a 40-goal season. Let's hear from Dylan Guenther and then Andre Tourigny on Dylan Guenther.
That's kind of what's gotten me into the league, is being able to score, and I think that I've rounded out my game and become a more complete player, but that's still what I'm good at, and it's nice to contribute that way, and there's still a lot of games to go. So
What's I like about Guenther this year is he has more ways to do it. It's not just his shot; he has more than that, and he's playing good lately since the start of the trip. I like this game.
5 points on the trip on 3 goals for Guenther. So last year, Clayton Keller, 30 goals. Dylan Guenther already up to 30 goals, with the Mammoth having 18 games remaining. And we talked about that nice little cushion that they've got in the wild card race. How about Vitek Vanacek? This save makes the SportsCenter top 10 from Monday night. And there was a number of them from Vitek on Monday night to keep the Chicago Blackhawks off of the board and managed at 2 goals. Connor Bedard was firing all night long and looking for his 27th of the year. And he had a nice game. Bedard in the contest for Chicago finished with 2 assists, 5 shots, and 4 hits. And you saw him getting into it with Logan Cooley. That's a Central Division matchup to watch as we move forward. But Vitek Vanacek winning that Stanley Cup last year with Florida. We're starting to see he's a second half goalie. 2-0-2 in his last 4 starts. He's allowed 8 goals for the Mammoth in his last 5 starts, plus 2 overtime goals. the reason is we'll talk about coming up more in our Tuesday mailbag that Bill Armstrong went out and got Vanacek, and he's been good, and coaching staff has confidence to throw him out there. You don't have to go with Vejmelka every single night because you know that Vanacek gives you a good chance to win, and you like your backup goalie. So nice start by Vanacek. We'll expect Vejmelka in between the pipes tonight for the Mammoth going up against the Minnesota Wild. And you got to feel like you're going to get their best game because you haven't seen their best game in maybe ever in the NHL. The Mammoth all time against Minnesota, 5-0-1, 5 straight wins. And, you got matchups, the post challenges. Utah's been 1 to Minnesota. Chicago's been 1 to Utah this year. So back-to-back coming up. Mammoth a chance to make it 9 out of a possible 10 points, but it's going to be tough on the back-to-back against Minnesota. But, you look at some back-to-backs this year. Chicago was playing on a back-to-back last night. They'd gone to overtime against Dallas the night before. You look at Chicago coming in after playing Colorado last Sunday. Saw what happened there. We saw Columbus coming in on a back-to-back, beating the Mammoth in overtime. And we're essentially listing, basically, line by line, every loss Utah's had since the start of January here. But Utah's been on some good ends of back-to-backs this year. Remember the Winnipeg win back in October for their 7th straight victory. Remember going into Detroit after the tough game in Boston. Remember going into Florida after the tough game in Tampa Bay and wondering what the heck was going to happen there. And, sometimes on the back-to-back, you feel better than the team that didn't play the night before. And for Utah, the question is the back-to-back going to have some adrenaline coming into it, or is it going to be 5 games in 8 nights and we're going to notice it, kind of like that Edmonton game in October where the Mammoth were looking for the 4-0 trip, jumped up 2-0, and then the wheels just kind of fell off. What are we going to get? But this team's beat Minnesota. They've been great responding after a game that they didn't win. This was a game where they got a point, so our 8-2 record after a loss doesn't necessarily go into effect here because they did get a point and at the end of the day found a way to extend their lead in the Western Conference playoff race. It's Mammoth Daily. It's a busy show. We've got our Tuesday mailbag coming up. Mike Folta will rejoin me for that. And then in our third period, we'll get more into tonight's game with the Minnesota Wild that we'll have for you coming up. Radio only on Hockey Night in Utah, as the game will be on ESPN Plus and Hulu. So Mike Folta and Nick Olczyk will have all the action for us from St. Paul. It'll be a 5 o'clock Hockey Night in Utah with me, 6 o'clock face-off on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, KSL Sports app. NHL app joins us at 5:30 along with our SCG Media Network affiliate. So that is the broadcast situation tonight from Minnesota. We'll come back. We've got a fun mailbag to cruise through. Questions on just about everything involving the Utah Mammoth coming up right here on Mammoth Daily.
It's time for the Tuesday Mailbag.
Time for your Tuesday mailbag here on Mammoth Daily. AD, I got to take a look at some of the questions that you sent over. We've got some good ones here today, a couple that I actually had to do some research on. So that's how you know that it's a good batch, thought-provoking. But what are we leading off with?
Let's lead off with this one. Let's cut straight to the chase, Mike. It comes to us from Brett. And he says, post-trade deadline and looking at the teams close to Utah in playoff contention, who should we be watching? Who should we be worried about? He says, my take is LA will fall off with their coaching change. Nashville lost their depth, so they'll fall off. San Jose's worrisome with 2 to 3 games in hand in the standings, but they weren't that active with trades. And watch out for Seattle. They made a couple moves, but Utah's playoff bound. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, well, thanks, Brett, for submitting. As we are thanking Brett each week, I think often finding his way into the mailbag with his good questions. I would agree with San Jose, we've said this all year. We keep waiting for the Sharks to just fall off a cliff, and they haven't, and they refuse to. I definitely see them. Utah has played a couple more games than San Jose. The Sharks have a couple games in hand. So that has to be taken into account as well. But I would say San Jose, but I would also say Seattle, who's in that second wild card spot right now. Like, this is for the Mammoth, it's important not just to make the playoffs, but hang on to that one seed, or that first wild card seed, I should say, as well. So can't count out LA. I think it's fair to give Panarin some time to gel there before we judge them. But they did sell off a couple of not insignificant pieces at the deadline, trading away Corey Perry and Warren Fogle. So really interesting moves made by them the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I think San Jose is that one team that's on the outside looking in that you're most worried about because of the talent they have, particularly up front, but because they're the closest in the standings.
And they've been so streaky this year. It seems like they come from behind down 3 goals in the third period to win a game, and it starts a stretch of 5 straight wins for them. So if they get hot with their games in hand, Mike, I'm wondering, this is a big week for LA, I think, with a potential new coach bump. If they're going to get it, it's going to come in the next week. And we've seen the new coach bump that Columbus got right off the hop with Rick Bowness starting off there 13-2-1. But I kind of got the feeling that the fresh start in LA might help them win a few more games. Seattle's a team that we haven't expected all season long to stay where they are, but they're a tight defensive team.
Yeah.
Acquired Bobby McMahon from Toronto, so we'll see if that can push them over. But Seattle and San Jose, as we talked about, Mike, lost their last couple games of the week last week. So big for them, big for LA with the new coach. And Mike, don't look now. Winnipeg's won 3 in a row, and St. Louis has won 4 in a row. They do have a lot of games to make up. They're well behind the pace, but those are the two hottest teams below the playoff line right now.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, the Mammoth have fought to put themselves in a spot where if they keep holding to the standard that's been set throughout the year, they're going to be fine. You don't necessarily have to worry about. You still have to worry about teams coming up, potentially. You never know what could happen. But if you keep winning 2 out of every 3, right, like the Mammoth have been over the last couple months, you're going to be in the playoffs.
Let's stay along the same lines here, Mike. Let's take a question coming in from DJ, who says, how many games down the stretch do you lean on Veggie? Would the answer to that question be different depending on the team's goals in the playoffs? Just make it versus be ready to go on a run. And Mike, for me, there's some factors here. And the first one is Vitek Vanacek. And I think the Mammoth feel comfortable with him in any situation against anybody. Beat Florida, almost beat Colorado right before Christmas. Vanacek has put up some nice performances. I think the coaching staff and the players have gotten some confidence in V seeing him the last couple weeks here. And number 2, Mike, the other thing is when you've got that cushion, you can kind of manage things a little differently. So if the cushion above the playoff line for the Mammoth stays the same, you go with a more lenient goalie rotation. Maybe what we saw at the first of the year with Vejmelka playing 3 out of every 4 games, which we've kind of trended that way in the last week and a half here.
I guess I see it a little differently. I think whoever's starting, whatever the goaltender rotation is, it is the way it is because it's designed to get the most out of Karel Vejmelka. Veggie's your guy. He's your true number 1. Vitek played a heck of a game against Philly. Like, he only saw 16 shots, but he was really good against the Flyers. And we're recording this on Monday before Utah plays Chicago. We're expecting Vitek to play tonight as well, which is interesting, Adrian, because I thought the Mammoth would play Vejmelka against Chicago and give themselves the best chance to take 4 out of 5 wins on the road trip. But, as we're recording this before the Chicago game, Bear and the staff trying to, getting a little greedy here on the road trip, going V against the Blackhawks and then saving Vejmelka for a superior Minnesota team. So I think yes, Vitek has played well in spots this year and definitely deserves a better record than what he has. But I don't think he's he's not the biggest cog in this machine right now. Like, that's Karel Vejmelka. I think whenever Vitek starts, it's because it's going to optimize Veggie's usage down the road. Last year, Vejmelka started 24-25, 23 straight, was the first goalie in over 10 years to have done that. And last year, when Vitek was with the Panthers, didn't play at all in the playoffs. It was Bobrovsky every game, basically. And so we saw Vanacek kind of spell Bobrovsky in spurts leading up to the playoffs, but then once the postseason hit, you got to go to your guy every single night. And the Mammoth, are not a team like Edmonton or like, one of these squads that has a goalie controversy. Like, Vejmelka is the guy, and it would surprise me if Utah does make the playoffs. It would surprise me not to see Karel Vejmelka every game.
Yeah, 100%. In the playoffs, it's all Veggie. It's all Veggie. And for me, answering that question, it was, if you're above the playoff line in a comfortable spot and Vanacek's playing well, you're able to maximize workload for Vejmelka and give him more nights off than if you're in the gotta win now every single game to stay above that line. And gosh, wonder if that backup can come out and keep us in it and give us a chance. So, but the playoffs, no matter what, it's Vejmelka every night.
But don't you think too, like, if Veggie's in a rhythm, you keep him in that rhythm too? Like, again, this is all we're speculating here. We're not with the sports science folks. Devin McConnell, who runs that side of the health and performance for the Mammoth. We're not in those meetings, but I think the focus is Vejmelka, and if he's ready to go, even in a regular season game, like if he wants to play and he's ready to go, he's playing. If he's like, I'm probably at 85% energy right now, then that's a Vitek Vanacek game. But anyway, that's how I see it. It's all about the legumes, vegetables.
All right, let's take another one here. Let's go to this one on the decor. And The Dark Knight Rises says, I probably have a million questions for the Tuesday mailbag, but I'll limit myself to one. Looks like Simashev closed the gap between him and some of the vets on the team. Do you see a world where Bear goes back to playing 7D and 11 forwards to get him some time down the stretch and see what he has? Or will Sima just be an injury replacement for the long haul? Well, to start, he's back with the Roadrunners, back assigned to the AHL, with Utah getting Mackenzie Weegar to fill a roster spot there. But I think you like what you have up here, Mike, and I think you've liked what you've seen from Simashev down there playing those big minutes, and I think you can keep growing him down in the AHL as you're in a good spot here.
Yeah, and thanks for the question, Dark Knight Rises. But you mentioned you had a line in here in this submission. Get him some time and see what he has. There's no more see what anybody has this year. It's win. Like whatever the winning lineup is, that's what it's going to be. The NHL is not a developmental league, but even so, there are still some young teams that are giving guys test runs at the end of seasons when they're out of the playoff race. Mammoth are not in that spot. There's no more like, oh, let's see what he's got. He's gonna be in Tucson until unless the Mammoth think that he gives them the best chance to win in the lineup. And Utah's decor, as Adrian was saying, has been deep all season long. And with the addition of Mackenzie Weegar, it just got deeper. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him back, whether it's an injury or what have you. But whoever's in the lineup, it's because it's given the team the best chance to win.
And Bill hasn't used this line in a little bit, but I could see it coming back as the Mammoths start to have more and more prospects in situations to play in the NHL. Bill will say, you can never spend enough time baking in the American Hockey League. You can never spend enough time there. You can take advantage of every single second.
This is not like Adrian's microwave macaroni and cheese. There is no amount of baking, of cook time that can ruin this dish.
I didn't know what direction you were going there, but that's fine. That was good. Let's take another one, Mike. This is a good one too. Comes to us from Hathos96. What goes into choosing the starting lineup? Hockey shifts are usually pretty short, so they'll change long not after starting. Why not choose the first line and the top D pair every game?
Yeah, thank you, Hathos96, for the submission. It is a little interesting in hockey. Like, yeah, why it isn't not just the 5 best players and the goalie that are out there every time. The visiting team has to submit their starting lineup first, and so they'll submit the starting lineups, and the home team basically has a chance to see that and can react accordingly. So sometimes, head coach Andre Tourigny was talking to us the other day about matchups. He might want Logan Cooley's line to match up against this line, or he might want to throw the Barrett Hayton line out against this line. Certain matchups favor the Mammoth in certain situations, and so matchups is a reason why it's not always just like the 5 leading scorers that are out there. But also you'll see, we've seen the fourth line start games before. A lot of times that's if a team wants to set the tone early and maybe get in on a hard forecheck and rattle some pots and pans around. But it is kind of an interesting thing. It's not like football. It's not like baseball or basketball where it's the top players that are out there every time. A lot of it is matchup based to start the game.
And sometimes on the road, if you're playing well, you'll see the same starting lineup for, several straight games. Like for instance, the McBain, Hayton, Yamamoto line. If they came out, started a game, the Mammoth won it. You'll see them coming out the next game for the second period. So we've seen that too. And some instances at home where I think Bear just starts what he wants to start, because this is the Delta Center and this is our show here. So thanks for the question. Great question. Here's another really good question, Mike. And it came into factor in the contest on Saturday night in Columbus. Mammoth Morley says, I've got a stat question I've never been able to get answered. If there is an abbreviated power play, even if it's 1 second and the team doesn't score, does that count against the power play stats? And is it a positive for the other team's PK stat? Mike, we can help here with this one.
So you did your homework on this one, because I think it does, right? 1 second count.
Yeah, it does. 1 second counts. So if you get called for a penalty with 8 seconds left to go in the game, that's good for your PK percentage and bad for your power play percentage. So if there's time on the clock, no matter what it is, counts as a full power play. Looks like a full 2 minutes, just the same as even if you were just out there for 8 seconds. Or you take a minor 4 seconds into a power play, there goes your power play. There goes your chance there. You're 0 for 1.
Yeah, I'm on the NHL stats page, nhl.com/stats. It's open to the public. Anybody can go on here, and they've got some more power play nuggets. I'm looking for like a power play goals per 60. I don't think that's on here, unfortunately. Yeah, gosh, not seeing it. We have some Sport Logic stats that kind of help get past those those fluky ones. Oh, a team was 0 for 3 on the power play, but they had 2 power plays that were cut short because penalties or what have you. But I don't love that stat, Adrian. Like, there's some stats in hockey that don't make a lot of sense to me the way we keep them. That one bothers me a little bit. But a good question, because it is kind of an oddity, I would say.
Totally. And one more, Mike. Let's get to question number 6. Coming into us from Sam. And Sam says, your boy is going to be back at the Delta Center on Thursday.
Nice.
Sam, come and see us, man. What is it, Mike? Portal G? We're being adults
Portal
here.
G.
Top of Portal G.
Look at you. Look at you. Somebody message that guy in the Apple podcast reviews that Adrian has changed. He can come back and listen again now.
I am a sensitive person, Mike. I just want everybody to be happy. He says, what does each of your ideal food/drinks lineup look like in the arena? And he also has a bonus question. With a matchup against Anaheim looking more likely, how do you view the matchup? Money Puck likes Utah to make the second round. Yeah, talked about it, Sam. We're going over those Pacific Division chances yesterday for the Mammoth. Definitely want to stay in wild card 1.
Yeah.
Here's one somebody pointed out. It was actually Brogan Houston. Our good buddy from the Deseret News pointed out that Anaheim has never beaten Utah in regulation, Mike, which I thought was very, very astute.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. Yeah, factor that in. And of course, once you get to the playoffs, there's no 3-on-3 overtime. You just keep playing 5-on-5. There's no shootout or anything like that. So, that's interesting. I mentioned it the other day. The Mammoth would be statistical favorites. I don't know if they'd be betting favorites, but they'd be statistical favorites against Anaheim, Vegas, and Edmonton, the 3 teams from the Pacific Division. As we record this right now on Monday, the Ducks lead the Pacific Division with a -10 goal differential. How often do you see that? But going back to Sam's question, though, food lineup?
Food, Mike. Yes.
Yeah, this is important.
Thought you'd never ask, Sam.
We both really like Santorini's.
We do. And Mike, there's options at Santorini's. There's the braised beef bowl. That's my favorite. They've got the puffy pitas that are little tacos.
Very good. Yeah.
Very good. And the Euro rolls they have that are like egg rolls that are just stuffed with Euro meat. There is nothing in there, Mike, but meat. And it is one big old piece of meat, and it is amazing.
Clip that.
Deep fried like an egg roll.
I've never had that. I have their one of their salad. It's not a salad. It's like a rice base. It's some kind of bowl. But it's very good in the microwave the next day too, which is great because a lot of times I don't get to eat it the day of or during the game. So I really like Santorini's. I used to always get an acai bowl from Honest Acai. That was my go-to for a long time with peanut butter and Nutella on top. Not sure how healthy that was, but very good. I had never had J-Dogs until the barbers introduced me to it. John and Angie are good friends that come over and say hi from time to time. And they didn't give me a hot dog. I just took a whiff of their hot dog and I was like, whoa, I have to try one of these. And so I did. Wow, really good. Like that's the type of hot dog that should be in ballparks. Not those cheap imitation dogs that are like on the roller, or even worse, they were boiled in that pan of water. Disgusting. No. The J Dogs are really good. What else? The tender, this is great for the kids because it's like the tenders and fries, all that stuff. But the garlic Parmesan tenders are a special treat. I'll get to maybe twice a year. I try not to eat. It doesn't sound like it, but I try not to eat like before a game. I'll have like a snack basically before a game. If I eat, I start burping or hiccuping, or I feel lethargic. So I try to avoid that.
I've never worried about that, Mike. For me, dinner's at 5. I like to have dinner at dinner time.
5 is not dinner time. 5 is not dinner time unless you're a senior citizen. You have dinner at this is why you have dinner at 5. You have dinner at 5 because it gets dark then, and you won't be able to see because you don't turn the lights on in your house.
I like 5 o'clock dinner time. I want to hear what the folks think. What's dinner time? I say it's 5.
What?
Mike, you know me. I used to drink a significant amount of soda.
You've cut back.
And I'd drink soda on the air, never worried about it, never had any issues. I'd eat 7 pieces of pizza at 5 o'clock and feel great, ready to go on the air. So I like to eat dinner at dinner time. I can't, if I'm hungry, I just don't feel quite 100%. Mike, as we let Sam go here, I've got a couple hacks for food at the Delta Center, right? Some combos that you can get for $20 or less. Costa Vida, which is a great spot. I'll get their pork salad. But if you want the Adrian hack at Costa Vida, and this is good, you can get a chicken quesadilla and chips and queso for under $20.
Wow. That's pretty good.
At Cubby's, you can get the jalapeno cheese quesadilla and sweet potato fries for under $20.
It's pretty good.
And at Santorini's, Mike, here's another hack. You can get 3 puffy pitas plus a puffy pita that comes with a side of rice for under $20. And you can also get an order of 2 of the deep fried Euro rolls and add a second order for $20. So there are some deals you can get at the Delta Center for $20 or less.
I just want to hear you say puffy pitas one more time.
In addition, Mike, of course, to our mountain menu, which features $2 bottled water, $3 hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, and Far's ice cream.
What an ad read. What an ad read right there. Oh my gosh. Please.
I love food, Mike.
I hope we get an avalanche. I hope we get an absolute Colorado avalanche of comments on the YouTube telling Adrian what dinner time is. There's no 5. I'm hung up on this. 5 o'clock is I've eaten at 5 o'clock when I've had breakfast at 10:30. But you know what part of it is for me too? Like we would always have dinner at 7 if we could as a family. I'm very lucky. My family would eat together. I think it's a very good practice. But we would always have to eat after like a sports practice or sports event. So I'm used to eating from childhood. I'm used to eating very late. And I've gotten in trouble for this on the road, Adrian, where I'm like, let's just push dinner back to, we're going to do something beforehand. Let's just get dinner at 8 o'clock, which is not a big deal to me. But Sarah Merrifield and Matt McConnell about threw me out the 40th story of our hotel when I suggested that. Matt McConnell, whose birthday was Monday, by the way. Happy birthday, Maddie. Matt McConnell eats earlier. Sarah eats earlier. Nick can eat whenever. I don't know what Dom's pretty go with the flow. But I've gotten in trouble for suggesting late dinner times. I love a late dinner. To me, an adult dinner time is 7 o'clock. Like 6 to 7. If you eat dinner at 6, like that's plenty normal. But a nice sit down dinner where the family's all around, that's 7 o'clock.
See, for me, and does Nick Olczyk have this same issue? Like, I eat 1 meal a day. Like, I'll have a protein shake in the morning.
Come on, throw your ballot out then, because come on, that totally changes it. You're eating in the middle of the day here.
Yeah, I like to have the main meal, before 10 o'clock at night, just because I'm not eating a lot during the day. And when I was on the road, Mike, we'd practice at 1 o'clock on a Thursday, and I'd be out by 3. I'd walk into a place and have my main meal at 3:30, go back to the hotel and chill for the rest of the night.
No, eating one meal a day is something I've come okay with. And this is not going to be a podcast all about our dietary habits, but that makes more sense now. If you're eating one meal a day, of course you'd rather eat earlier. But I had a big lunch at noon, so I'm good to eat it at 7.
Yeah, I get that. I've totally been there. There we go, Mike. I think we broke another record with 6 letters, 6 emails.
Yeah, I think we broke another record for 10 minutes talking about food too.
Oh, I love food, Mike. I love to eat.
Not enough if you only have it once a day.
I love it so much. I've got to watch myself because all I would do is eat.
You're running enough in the morning that it's all fair. It's all fair game. So, good mailbag, 80. Thanks for putting that together. That was fun.
This is Mammoth Daily.
So in Minnesota Wild, the opposition coming up tonight, Utah has 5 straight wins against Minnesota. The last 4 have resulted in 5-2, 6-2, 6-1, and 4-0 victories after they got a 2-1 win against the Wild right before Christmas last year. And the last 4 wins against Minnesota, they've outscored them by a count of 21-5. And I think the Mammoth have caught Minnesota in some fortunate scheduling situations this year. In October, Wild had 3 wins in their first 11 games. Utah caught them there. Caught them right out of the Olympic break on a back-to-back from Colorado, which we know teams have not fared well against. The Mammoth coming from Colorado, Utah 6-0-2 against teams coming from Colorado. So I think they've been a little fortunate on the schedule against the Wild. Haven't really seen their best game. I think you could maybe look at some parallels with, as we said, Minnesota and Utah and Chicago. I don't think the Hawks have caught Utah at their best, and you can look at the schedule. After an emotional overtime win in Nashville in October, the Mammoth had a day in Chicago on Sunday, wrapping up a trip, and played in Chicago on Monday, and a little bit of a tough one, falling 3-1. Chicago comes in after that emotional win against Minnesota, caught the Mammoth on an off night, and then they catch him again here after an emotional win against Columbus on Saturday. So we'll see if Utah can stay Utah-Chicago against Minnesota here tonight, if you know what I'm saying. Here's what Dylan Guenther says is going to be big tonight for the Mammoth.
Quick turnaround. I mean, we've played them well too, and I feel like they, haven't played their best against us, so they're going to come with a good push. We're on a back-to-back, so I think just how smart we are and how we handle, the first 5-10 minutes will be important.
So there you go. There is Dylan Guenther. Folks, on your Wednesday, Matt McConnell will join Mike and I in the Odd Man Rush. That's always a treat. And efforting a very, very special Thursday expert that we'll have for you. Coming up Friday, Free For All. We're going to get ready for the ACHA College Hockey Nationals, efforting a special guest for our local hockey segment as well. So we've got some good stuff in store coming up the rest of the week. Plus, heck, our hockey team's going to be back home on Thursday, taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. Pittsburgh will be in town coming up on Saturday. Thanks for joining us for another fun episode of Mammoth Daily. We'll talk to you coming up tomorrow with Matt McConnell, maybe in 2 segments, but definitely in our Wednesday Odd Man Rush.